Hi, and welcome to the Beauty Interviews. I'm Kate Forrester, and I'm just about to leave my home in Brighton to meet the lovely Claudia Colella. Claudia is multi-talented. She's an artist. She is a professional photographer, and she also writes poems in particular. She's a linguist, and she's also a mind-body therapist specialized in a field called sophrology. Claudia cares for people. She cares deeply for people. She's worked with people suffering from trauma, from addictions, and right now she's involved in a project with women refugees in London. I think she's a perfect example of a beautiful soul, deeply engaged in her human work. So, welcome, Claudia. What do you see when you look at yourself in the mirror?
Hi, first of all, thank you. I am very excited to be here, Kate. Yes, it is a difficult question, especially because it's not always the same experience that I have when I look in the mirror. It really depends on how I feel, and not so much of what I'm looking at. So I generally like what I see in the mirror, but I've noticed that when I'm not feeling well, meaning I'm not doing the things I like to do, I want to do, I don't like what I see in the mirror either. So for me it's very connected, and I have to be honest. When I look, for instance, when I look at photos of me, I keep only looking at and noticing all those things you don't like. I don't know, I have bags under my eyes or something I don't like. But when I look in the mirror, it's different. I just don't look at those.
So when you look in the mirror, are you looking at how you're feeling?
Yeah, I think I do, even though I'm not completely aware of it. When I wake up and I look in the mirror first thing in the morning, but I've noticed that yes, very often how I feel affects the way I see myself reflected back to me.
Do you like looking at yourself in the mirror?
I do, because I explore myself. I always did, since I was a child. And yes, maybe I've been a little bit vain as a kid. I loved looking at myself in the mirror, pulling faces and all that. But growing older, I realized that for me it's more of a way of exploring who I am. And I look at myself not just on my face, at my entire body constantly. And it might sound weird, but that's the way for me to look into me as well. And maybe it's because I'm interested in visual art, and it's very visual for me.
So how much has your experience as a photographer, how much do you think this influences the way you look at things and at yourself?
For me, photography is about it's a reflection. It's what I see in you. It's not so much you that I'm photographing, but it's what I see in you. So it's a reflection of me in a way. That's the way I see it. It's my work, my personal work with photography. So probably yes, it has influenced that.
Claudia, do you feel beautiful?
I do. Most of the times, not always, but yeah, most of the times I feel beautiful. I worked on inner movements, inner rhythm, so I have that general theme, and I follow that. I don't always know what I am taking photos of or how, but somehow it works out. It's like an instinct that guides me through taking photos. But then after that, it comes together, and then, oh yes, I know why I took photos of that instead of this. It's not always, clear beforehand. Did I answer the question?
Claudia, you're also very involved in helping people dealing with all sorts of traumatic experiences, personal or because of their status as refugees, for example.
Yeah.
I know you really love to connect with these people. Can you tell me a bit about this and the beauty of these people?
I've always been attracted to helping people, and I remember the first time I did, it was just soon after high school. I was 18 and I worked as a volunteer in a hospital caring for terminally ill patients. That was only with HIV and AIDS patients, so they were at the last stage of their illness. I've chosen to do that because I was very interested in at that time it was more about understanding how the virus worked. But I think that experience has been, I think, a milestone in my growth, really, as a person, and has been the beginning into working with people, being very, very interested in people, because they were so different. Their background varied a lot, and the idea we had about people suffering with AIDS was very different from the reality. These were not drug addicts. These were middle-class people who had a very bad experience. And also, I remember this woman is still in my head, stuck into my head. I was a young woman. She was 30. And she suffered with a blood condition, and she had to get transfusion every month. So she got a bad batch of blood. At that time, very few people knew about. That was years before I met her. It was when she got that transfusion was in the 80s, and in the 80s there was not many people in Europe knew about AIDS. So she got AIDS through that. And she was just someone who never had the chance to live her life properly, because not only she had the blood condition, she had to get, have a transfusion every month, but she also got AIDS out of it, and not because she chose to sleep with someone or she was a drug addict. So that really changed my view on things and got me interested in discover people and to see that what you see is not always what it is, and you have to dig deeper in order to really understand, to really get to know people. And it also traumatized me because I saw people dying at the age. I was 18 and I don't think I was prepared to see that, to get attached to patients and to see them dying almost in front of me. But somehow it really helped me to become stronger and more motivated into working with people. I don't know whether it's helping, because I get a lot out of working with these women who are refugees, who have stories, very difficult stories behind. And as I say, it is not about me helping them. I think it's a give and take. I learned so much. more than I give, that's for sure.
How much do you think inner and outer beauty are linked?
I think it's, again, it's about if you're happy and aligned with yourself, which means if you're authentic, that will show on your face, will show in your gesture, in your movement. And beauty is not so much about having a symmetric face and be, kind of Hollywood beauty. It's not only that, probably it's not that at all, because we know people who are physically beautiful, but they're not really. They are not attractive. So for me, it comes out if you are aligned and if you live authentically.
So what is beauty then?
That's a difficult question because I think it's very personal for each one of us. For me, actually, I was thinking about this question, what is beauty, earlier today. And I think it's when that flow goes freely, that, for me that's it. That it really is.
It's that alignment.
Absolutely. And as I said earlier, I told you that sometimes I don't see myself so beautiful because I'm not feeling well. It's when I don't feel aligned. And I look at myself and oh my God, I can't look at this woman in the mirror. It's because I don't feel aligned.
Yeah.
So that's for me what's beauty, really.
Claudia, we play a little game. I have a few cards here with some quotes.
Okay.
So just choose a card and read it out loud and tell me what you think.
I am excited. I like games.
By plucking her petals, you do not gather the beauty of the flower. Rabindranath Tagore.
Oh. Well, to me, it's, I don't know, this is the way I interpret it. If you pluck her petals, it's no longer, for instance, a rose, and you take away the petals, it's no longer a rose, and then it loses its beauty. So, doing that, you are more aware of how beautiful it was, or how that flower was before. It's like losing a person and then you realize, oh, I love them very much. So to me, that's the way I see it. So taking away the beauty, the petals, you realize how beautiful it was.
That's lovely. Would you like to choose another card?
Yeah, this one, right?
When our eyes are graced with wonder, the world reveals its wonders to us. There are people who see only dullness in the world, and that is because their eyes have already been dulled. So much depends on how we look at things. The quality of our looking determines what we come to see. John O'Donoghue.
Iceland said something similar. We see things as we are and not as they are. And it's so very true. So if we are graced with wonder, yes, that's what we're going to see. It's a filter. And that's how I see it is. And it is true. Our experiences in life give us a pair of glasses. There is an Italian writer, Luigi Pirandello, who talks about glasses that we put on to look at the world. And, they give us filters, they give the world and what we see a different color. I may look at this in a certain way and think this is, a white piece of paper where, there's some writing on it, and someone else can see a totally different thing, just a piece of paper. So it's all relative. And I've been talking about the women I've been with today. I've been very lucky because I always had this positive, it's not like a positive outlook on the world and people. But again, I never had any bad experience. I was very lucky in my life, my upbringing. And that gave me a way to look at the world in a way very different. Some of the women I met today look at the world. But again, it's being open. It's about as well learn to be open, to see things in a different way. Maybe I went off a bit too far from what the quote was about, but that's what came to me.
Would you like to take one last part?
Yes, I will. All little girls should be told they are pretty, even if they are not. Oh, Marilyn Monroe. This is a big thing these days about women being empowered, and they're much more than just pretty girls. To me, it's all about, yes, you say all little girls should be told they're pretty. Yes, but again, I don't always agree with that. Why they should be told they're pretty? They should be told they're clever, intelligent, much more than pretty. Because our society is so much based on, and at that age, Marilyn Monroe, and her life was based on that, and she had a difficult time, being an actress and everything, insecurities. I believe I don't have children, but my niece, she's 3.5. I keep telling her, and she's a very pretty girl, but I never tell her how pretty she is. I mean, she is pretty, everybody says, oh, she's beautiful. But I say to her, you are very clever, you are very intelligent, and she is, and it's much more important to me than tell her that she's pretty, because at the end of the day, being pretty is just physical, the way a child would understand, and it's not about that. And we all say, boys are, oh, how clever he is, and pretty, and girls, how pretty they are. But the world needs to change. I don't believe in that anymore. We need a different way of a different society where women and men are really the same, and if we can keep investing in prettiness, it's not going to happen. Some of us are lucky because they have a pretty face, but that it's true for men too. But it shouldn't be that way. I don't believe. So yes, let's say to all little girls, they are clever and intelligent, and they can do whatever they want, instead of just pretty. Sorry, Marilyn.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. À bientôt. Bisous.